This is the first year we're not getting E3. Instead, we are getting the Summer Game Fest showcase thing, whatever you want to call this. This is pretty much E3 2.0, but a lot worse. Consider this my thoughts on Summer Game Fest so far, and also some of the other showcases regarding other platforms like PlayStation and Xbox and all that stuff. But first, I want to talk about E3 one last time because holy shit, right now I am really missing it a lot. I know E3 wasn't perfect, okay? E3 had a lot of flaws. It was very cringy. I also know that it was very stressful for developers because they pretty much had to build a demo or something to showcase at E3, which again can be very stressful, very exhausting. It's a chaos. E3 is by no means the perfect showcase. It never was. But man, there was just something really special about E3 times. E3 really was a time for gamers to unite and get excited for the next releases and what was coming up for these platforms. And now we got Jeff Keighley talking his ass off about a bunch of games that are hits, misses. It's very inconsistent. This year especially was a total fucking mess. I want to focus first on Summer Game Fest because there's quite a lot of shit that I need to get off my chest. I'm not a fan of this event. I think I've been very vocal about it before. I don't hate Jeff Keighley. I don't think Jeff Keighley's like a monster or anything, but he is a little bit odd sometimes. He tries to sugarcoat a lot of times a lot of the issues that go on in the industry, and I'm not a big fan of that. But at the same time, I can't really put a lot of blame on him. I get that he's trying to do a show. I get that he's trying to make people happy around these times. So I can't really be super mad at him. But at the same time, you need to address these issues less vaguely. But how was Summer Game Fest this year? Well, I'll say this. It was definitely a lot better than past years in my opinion, but that doesn't mean that it was good. Like, at least I can say that this year's Summer Game Fest was decent at best. There was quite a few games here and there that really did caught my attention, that I was actually intrigued by. And of course, how can I be mad at an event where they showcase year 2 of Street Fighter 6 DLC? We got M. Bison, we got Elena, we got fucking SNK characters in Street Fighter. I mean, that to me is fucking enough. But nonetheless, it was still a very confusing show with some games that just made my head scratch. Some of the CG trailers even looked better than when they actually showed the gameplay. There's especially one game, I don't remember the name. It had this really cool, almost anime looking cinematic with mechs and all these cannons and machines, and it looked very futuristic. It was awesome. And then they actually showed the gameplay and I'm like, wow, this shit does not look as intriguing like I thought it would be. Also, I don't like the venue that they chose, and mainly I think it's because it reminded me so much of the Game Awards. Like, the venue looks almost exactly the same, and that really confused the hell out of me. I was like, are the Game Awards already this early? I do like the co-host that they had alongside Jeff Keighley. I thought that was like a nice touch, but it was just overall a very inconsistent show. Also, Killer Bean was awesome.
That's what I call a dramatic entrance.
If I had to grade how this Summer Game Fest showcase was, it would be probably like between a 5 or a 6 out of 10. Like, again, it was nothing really that special. It wasn't horrible, but it was definitely on the decent side of things, where it's like, okay, you showcased some stuff that did look cool, that did get me excited, but then there was also other things that I didn't give a shit about. The venue just reminded me too much of the Game Awards, where I was questioning if I was actually watching the Game Awards. And the pacing was just a fucking mess. Again, these shows really do not need to be 2 fucking hours long. They should be condensed. There's no reason why these should last as long as they do. But there were other showcases around this time, like the Sony State of Play. I'm not gonna lie, this shit sucked. That shit was embarrassing to watch. The only good thing that they showcased in that entire thing was Astrobot. That was the only thing that actually looked like a real fun game to play. Everything else, especially that fucking Concord game that had a really cool cinematic trailer, but then it turned out, oh, it's a hero shooter. And it's like, fucking, why? The State of Play gets a fucking 3 out of 10. That shit sucked. Fuck, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. We also recently got the Xbox Showcase, and to my surprise, this was actually pretty good. I had very low expectations, especially after all the layoffs and all the studio closures. I was like, there's no fucking way they have anything worthwhile. And then they showcased Doom, the Dark Ages. Okay, these developers are cooking. Now, I do need to emphasize, every good thing that they showcase here is because of the developers. Phil Spencer and all these other CEOs and higher-ups can go fuck themselves for all I know, okay? I do not forgive any of them. They still deserve all the shit that they got. If I'm gonna compliment somebody here, is the actual developers and studios and actually worked on these games. I was surprised with some of the games that they actually revealed. Perfect Dark? Last time we heard about Perfect Dark, they said that it was in fucking development turmoil, that everything was going wrong with that game, but what they showcased was actually kind of intriguing, and now I'm interested in what this Perfect Dark actually is. Also, another Gears game. I mean, I guess. I mean, sometimes some things just never change. So yeah, the Xbox Showcase gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Now, I know that there's still some other showcases that I feel like we're missing. I think Ubisoft has one, but ain't nobody gives a shit about that. And also the Nintendo Direct, which I'm very intrigued what they're gonna show on that one, especially because we know the Switch 2 is around the corner. I know that they're not gonna show anything Switch 2 related, but I do have an itch in me that tells me that Nintendo has some nice surprises this time around, so hopefully they don't disappoint. But you see what's going on? We're pretty much going through the same thing E3 was. Everyone gets a showcase to show off some of their games, future games, or games that are coming out in the next couple of months, and there's hype and people are excited, though there's one thing missing: the actual hype and excitement. And again, say whatever you want about E3, because E3 was very inconsistent as well. At least E3 had a lot of excitement and hype when it was around. I can't really say the same thing about Summer Game Fest, unfortunately. Summer Game Fest, at least right now, feels just very boring and just not exciting enough. I feel like around this time specifically, there should be more excitement for these kind of events, but I rarely hear anything from them. I mean, yes, of course, you go on Twitter and people are excited for certain games, but there's just something missing about this. And I was trying to think what it was, and it finally hit me, and it was the actual conferences, being together and experiencing these showcases and playing these games together. That was part of the excitement. That was part of the hype around E3. It was that people were all gathered up watching these conferences in a big fucking venue. Now there's really none of that. Like, or at least there kinda is, but it doesn't have that same feeling. I miss hearing the roars of the audience when something really cool came out on the Sony showcase, on the Microsoft showcase. That stuff is what's missing from Summer Game Fest. You can call it whatever you want. Maybe I'm just bitching and whining, but at the same time, I can't help but just feel that Summer Game Fest feels very sauceless. It doesn't have a nice flow to it, because it just feels like these different showcases and the Summer Game Fest and Jeff Keighley and IGN Live and all these other places are just throwing shit at people randomly, and it's inconsistent. It's bothersome and annoying. And while E3 was definitely not flawless, at least it felt like it had some consistency. It had a flow to it. Today there's gonna be the Sony and Microsoft conferences. Next day it's Ubisoft and Bethesda. Then there's Nintendo and then these other studios. It was consistent. It was organized in a way where people wouldn't get lost and know when things would actually happen. Summer Game Fest, or at least this new version of what seems to be just E3 2.0, is just a fucking mess. I didn't even know there was an Xbox showcase happening until I saw it on social media. And then out of nowhere I hear that there's a Ubisoft one also pretty soon, and it's like, I don't fucking know. I didn't know because there's no schedule, there's no, at least nobody gave me a fucking schedule. Jeff Keighley didn't tell me when these things were happening. It was just really fucking annoying. I guess I'm also just feeling very nostalgic about E3. Around this time, the excitement of E3 felt strong, and it really felt again like a community coming together to experience all these new games and all these cool announcements, and now it's just being replaced by this lesser version of what is pretty much the same shit. But I don't know, do you guys think that maybe I'm overreacting and complaining about nothing? I guess let me know down in the comments. How are you feeling about Summer Game Fest Showcase E3 2.0, whatever the fuck it's called? I don't care anymore. I just really miss E3. And I wish it came back. This is just me having wishful thinking that maybe somebody will revive E3 and things will go back to how they were. But I also just kind of have to accept that this is how things are right now. I don't like it. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I know that I've been kind of inconsistent with videos recently, but mainly because I have so many things on me that have been consuming a lot of my time. I do have some pretty important videos planned, especially a big live plus channel update video that might be probably the biggest channel update in quite a while. It's gonna be pretty fucking massive, and you'll know when it comes. But once again, thank you so much for all the support. Remember to follow me on my social media, Instagram and Twitter. And like always, good day, good night, and stay safe.